Previously on Guardians of the Sapphire.
For 300 years, no family in the Dwala and the Shona clans had gotten the privilege of birthing a Mizuki. Some members of the Order of the Mizuki from the Shona clan began to afflict the other clan by abusing their muscles. If a Mizukin became corrupted in word and deed, the gods deemed it wise to send another dwarf, thus ensuring peace amongst the clans. But this tradition wasn't always so, and the following chronicle is the reason why. Long ago, before Mara, mother of the earth, bare Agner, who later became goddess and grand keeper of the forest, the sacred people of Thera, priests of the Nebuthar temple in the northern part of Nyambani, who were traditional leaders of the Dwala clan, prophesied by visions from the gods of the coming of a mighty one, a dwarf, from their clan's lineage who would rule over all kingdoms. He would bear the sapphire stone as a Mizukin and become the keeper of the forest and all its treasures for millennia, as the vision proclaimed. Even though the sapphire stone originally belonged to the Shona clan, which was situated in the cave of Samathar, a sacred region of southern Nyambani, pride heritage of Azuma. This prophecy ignited the priests of Thera to stir the common people of Dwala to war, claiming that by the revelation of the gods, the stone had become their rightful heritage. But the Shona clan were sometime a peaceful people, and unlike the Dwala, they did not teach their children to war, nor made weapons with the intention of use against fellow humans. They were the native people of Azuma, blessed with the aura of the sapphire stone, which made the fruits of the earth blossom much and nourished the soil and their water. The stone also possessed numerous supernatural abilities, which were taught to only the sons of Azathar. As such, the common people of Shona were farmers, shepherds, and hunters by profession. On the contrary, Thera, home of the Dwala clan, was a place of the practice of archery and the art of war. And so did the Dwala clan continue to thrive by plundering distant kingdoms of their valuable possessions and gathering their spoils when they put their men to the sword and took their women and children as slaves. When the people of Thera did not go to war, they were mostly farming, but the northern soil of Nyambani was cruel to them. In that, it bore little of their efforts, and their water was always muddy. Legend has it that the gods had cursed their land due to the frequent wars and violence. Even though Dwala were a violent people, they never invaded Azuma, because Azathar, leader of the Shona clan and guardian of the Samathar cave at the time, had taught them to be generous to their neighboring clan, the Dwala. So they occasionally brought some of the fruits of their labor and gifted Thera with numerous foodstuff. And even though Dwala also brought some of their spoils of war to show gratitude to the Shona clan, the subjects of Azathar never received of their hands, having this belief that the gods might somewhat curse their land also and remove the sapphire stone amidst them. Additionally, the priests of Thera, leaders of the wars of Dwala, knew for a fact that if they spoiled Azuma of the sapphire stone and its precious gifts, then their fate would be doomed. But then, by the vision of the gods about the coming of the grand keeper of the forest and procurer of peace and tranquility, who would give the land of Thera a rest from its barrenness by the sapphire stone, nothing stood in the way of Dwala from invading the peaceful natives of Azuma, except the gods. The priests had declared that the sapphire stone needed to be claimed and brought to Thera to await the coming of the Mizukin. And because the common people of Dwala knew of the precious nourishment of the sapphire stone, they thought it wise to heed their leaders to war, hoping that the stone would revive their land once they claimed it. In following the teachings of Azathar the Great, the people of Azuma were very careful about taking some of the spoils of war from the inhabitants of Thera. But unbeknownst to them, an old couple from one village of the Shona clan who had been barren for 27 years and a half adopted a slave girl at the hands of Kimu, a fierce warrior of the Dwala clan, the son of a priest, during the season of Amari, about which time the people of Azuma helped Thera with gifts. This single act, though of nobility, turned the face of the gods against Azuma. And in the year that followed, the Council of the Priests of Dwala had fully decided on invading Azuma and claiming the Sapphire Stone. Thus, they chose 6 men of valor who had some of the fastest and silent feet in war and assigned them the mission of claiming the stone from the southern part of the kingdom at night, without hurting anyone. But since the sons of Azathar had sworn to guard the way to the stone together with their father, they rose up against the men of valor and killed 2 of them in defense of the stone, but nonetheless died the same night in cold blood at the hands of the remaining 4, gnawing their tongues in pain as they watched the vibrant sapphire stone get stolen from the cave. When the men of Azuma realized what had been done to Azathar and his family in the morning, they fumed with anger, knowing that the deed had been done by the people of Thera, to whom they had been generous for many generations. So they asked among themselves who had offended the gods for such misfortune to be upon them, and they found the barren couple with the slave girl hidden in a hut. The people had already suffered the loss of the house of Azathar, their leader, the previous night, and there was a great mourning in the land. So, when the couple pleaded their lives along with hers, they spared them narrowly. In the days that followed, they gathered all their men and the teenagers who had come of age and taught them how to fight for 3 full moons, in order to bring back the glory that had been wickedly stolen from them. This happened in the season of Mithar, about the same time they usually plant their crops. Thus, in the season of Kashir, which followed Mithar, war broke out in the valley of Agrabor when all 3 priests of the Dwala clan were slain at night by some trained assassins of the Shona clan. This war prevailed in the kingdom of Nyambani for 100 years and earned the name, the Great War of Agrabor. The continued bloodshed, the clash of spears, and the song of birds which devoured the dead bodies troubled Mara, goddess of the earth. And thus, She sought a moment with her husband, for which her request was granted. So when Anathar and Mara bare Agner, meaning remedy, by the river of Kasuni, they procured possession of all that was in the valley of Agrabor and beyond, as the rightful possession of their daughter, including the precious sapphire stone. Therefore, when Agner was come of age and realized the often war and bloodshed between both clans, which troubled her mother, she became weary of the stains of blood in the Kasuni. It was she who invaded the world of men and stayed the war by sealing the sapphire stone within the great Uruko tree, which was situated at the shared boundary of both clans, earning it the popular name Azamar, meaning heart of the forest. Finally, the century-year-old war was over and Agner had abolished the practice of the art of war long held in the Dwala clan. It was in those days that the Order of the Mizuki, the birth of dwarves, began.